What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and I guess the XFL listened to me. I said you needed some stars, and you gave me some guys to talk about. Some guys really stepped up this week, and definitely in this game, there are a lot of guys to talk about. It's almost like the Breakers, they watched my video. Like, all of the points that I made, they did. They went out there and they got Sloter started off quick and fast and early. They established the run game, and that defense pinned their ears back, and they stopped Te'amu. I mean, they were in his face the whole game. This game was a complete blowout from the get-go. They never even had a chance. It was a beat down, and it all started from pretty much the word go. The Breakers had the perfect plan for the Bandits, and the Bandits couldn't do anything about it. I felt really bad for Te'amu. Te'amu actually doesn't look like a bad quarterback. He's not. He's just that offensive line is not giving him any time. He has no time to throw the ball, and when he can throw the ball, his guys are dropping passes. They're fumbling the ball. I mean, I know that it's not everybody else's fault, and he does have some issues, but man, does he need some help around him. I will say that their defense made some stops here and there, but in all reality, you've got the blueprint right here on how to stop this team, and it makes me wonder. They were one of the top tier teams that I had last week, and now I don't even know where to put them in my power rankings that are going to be coming out here shortly. Shortly, I mean in a couple days, but I mean it was just a blowout, and that's not necessarily bad here. And the reason why I want to say that is because we're getting stars, we're building players up. We're getting guys who are showing that they can play in this game, and that's what we got out of the Breakers. We got a lot of really good players and some guys to root for, some guys to look forward to. And so, this game wasn't a game that needed to be a back and forth like I thought it was going to be. Now, I did pick the Breakers, and I'm pretty excited about that. Started off the week terrible and kind of slowly brought it back. This game definitely didn't go with the over. Really, if the Bandits could have just punched something in and done something, we would have been in the over on this game easy. But they just literally did not show up. I think Te'amu was the only person on their whole entire team that actually did decide to show up for work today. But this is what the XFL, the USFL has needed. They needed guys to really show out and show their talent and their ability, and there were some guys that shined here. So let's start breaking things down. Well, first and foremost, it was a 34-3 beatdown, and it all started off with a humongous first quarter. Now, it all started off with Sloter. Sloter ran that offense flawlessly. Hopefully he can keep that up because he can really be the banner child for this league. I don't necessarily know if he's going to make it to that 27th NFL team, but I don't necessarily think that he needs to. If he can continue putting in the work that he has here, I think that he can really make a name for himself in these leagues, whether it be the USFL or the XFL. And I think that over time he can be a staple here, and he can be a guy that makes a decent living playing football. I'm telling you, if we can get the USFL to succeed and we can get the XFL to succeed, you're definitely going to have them fighting over players, which means more money. Give me more money, man. I'm telling you, within year 3, if we could have both of these leagues, and if you want to throw the MLFB in there, the FCF, whatever they're doing with all of that over there, it's going to bring more money into this, because if we continue to watch and we can continue to be that community that supports this, I'm telling you, you need to continue to support it. And whether or not it's dismal, terrible, like the first game we got, or just exciting and awesome like the second and third game that we got, or a blowout, it doesn't matter. We need to let them know that we want more and that we want this. And so, with that, this just adds to that. When they turn the channel and they turn it to here, and they've got Adams who's pulling the ball out of the air, Poindexter tiptoeing on, in the end zone, and Adams tiptoeing in the end zone. That's the great stuff that we see, guys barreling forward and, and getting the extra yards, the sacks, the interceptions. That's the dynamic play that we want to see in this league, and that when people tune in, you turn it on. Oh, there's football game on? Okay, you turn it there, and you get this. That's what they want to see, and sometimes it doesn't really matter about the score, and this is the situation here. Now, Slaughter was 25 for 39. I agree with the announcers that he should have been pulled out of the game earlier than that, but these guys they've been together for like 5 weeks, 6 weeks at the most, so they need the reps together to where I understand that. If this were a regular situation, this was a team he's been on for a while, he's sitting a whole lot quicker than this, but that's totally fine. For 266 yards, averaging 6.8 yards attempts, his completion percentage was only 64%, 2 touchdowns, but no interceptions. And he had, I think it was like 1, maybe 2 bad throws, definitely 1 bad throw. But outside of that, really, really competent game. And the line, gave him time. And a lot of that had to do because the line actually did a really good job blocking for the running backs. Ellis had the big game last week. And Logan, I'll tell you, Logan is really becoming the versatility, the utility guy, the guy that really does everything for this team, whether it be running the ball, catching the ball out of the backfield. I was really, really impressed with him and with his ability to, whether it be get open, whether it be to break through the line, break tackles, juke guys, get that first down. He was a really go-to guy for him. And Ellis ran well as well. And Ellis is really kind of their hard-nosed back that they've got in there. And Logan is really kind of becoming, like I said, that utility guy that you can kind of rely on, that blanket almost. And when you look at it, Adams, we're finally getting to see, and on these announcers, they're like, finally, guys are making plays that we can actually talk about them, because they've been drawing at straws of things to talk about. So now they can talk about Adams and how he's a freak athlete, and the guys are excited about him. Taylor had 5 catches. Johnny Dixon, OSU Buckeye, had some nice catches, and had a touchdown. Logan 4, Poindexter had a couple, and a really nice crazy catch. The ball is going all over the place, and they're catching these passes, and they're giving, like I said, the announcers, they're giving these commentators something to talk about, which is great. And speaking of the commentators, I'm loving Jason Garrett, and I'm loving Collinsworth. It's crazy because you've got Garrett and you've got Collinsworth, and he sounds so much like his dad that, like, in my head I picture his dad. I don't know if I've ever, you can tell me if I'm wrong about this or not, but Collinsworth, the father-son duo, I don't know if we've ever seen anything like that where they sound exactly the same. I mean, he sounds so much like his dad that literally I think he can take over for his dad when his dad decides that, I'm done with this crazy schedule, with all of this craziness. I'm done. I'm retiring. I seriously think that he could easily step in there and nobody would have a clue if you never showed his face. And, you don't want to do that because he's actually very competent and just very articulate and does a very good job on his own, and he holds his own, so I don't want to take anything away from him. There's nothing there with it. It's actually a compliment of how well he's doing, that I'm thinking that his dad is there. And that's the other thing, too. These guys are seasoned, and I love the fact that they're I don't know about you, but I'm getting sick and tired of, okay, we hear the play call, quit trying to figure it out. Quit trying to call it for me and see if you're right. You either know it or you don't. And you got a guy like Jason Garrett, like, he knows it. He knows when to bring it in. He knows when to not mention it. And I like that. Just leave it alone. And it really doesn't happen on the bigger broadcasts. It happens more on the smaller broadcasts, the FS1 and the USA. The USA ones had a lot of that on there where the guys don't know what to talk about, so they're talking about guessing plays. that all of a sudden, you didn't have to guess a play in this game. There was so much action happening by the Breakers that you didn't really need to. They were flying around on defense. Diggs had another big day with 10 tackles. Fernandez, who led the team in tackles last week, had 7 this week. St. Amour had another 7. Sacks. How many sacks did we end up with for the day? 4. Last week you had 6. This week you had 4. That is just ridiculous. It's insane. 10 sacks in 2 games. These guys are for real. Fedora has put together a really, really nice team, and they're running a really, really nice offense and a really nice defense. I don't know if you noticed, but they had like 3 guys get injured in the game and that didn't return back in, and you didn't even notice that they weren't there. And yeah, that's, I don't know how much more I can really, talk about it. They played just a spectacular game, took advantage of what they needed to, made the decisions that they needed to make. I mean, everything really went their way in this game. And, hats off to them. It was fantastic. On the Tampa Bay side of things, there really wasn't a whole lot of bright points. Teamu, 8 for 18, 62 yards and 1 interception. Pretty dismal. White was terrible in there, but I think a lot of it was just to free up Teamu. It was nice to see, though, Teamu, he has been, so the first game, he didn't have to scramble, do all that stuff to get him back in here. He tried in this game to scramble, and he did it a few times and getting, them in opportunities, but it just didn't work out. They had Franklin the third in there to do some running and some catching, and, he made some mistakes. He had the fumble, a drop pass. You could just definitely tell that the guy's got super talent, and he's super fast, but you can definitely tell he needs to really work on, ball security, and that with it, just at times he was just all over the place. Again, running game just dismal, but by the time the game was over, I don't know what they're gonna do with things. It really doesn't seem like they've got any playmakers. But then again, I think a lot of it goes back to their offensive line. I don't think their offensive line's very good, and that's just going to be their downfall this season. I don't know. People were touting them at the beginning of the season, still touting them after week 1. Now after week 2, we'll see what people are saying about them. For me, they go way, way down. I was already suspect of them last week, and because of the way what they did with the Maulers. And now this week, I'm really, really down on them. It's really hard to find some bright spots for them in the game. If you want to look at the total team things, the possession pretty even, 31 or almost 32 minutes for the Breakers to 28. Total play 72 to 62. So the Bandits had 62 total yards. And here's the kicker right here. Almost 400. We had 374 yards for the Breakers and 194 for the Bandits. That defense is real. They are for real. They held them to 3.1 yards a play. And 4 red zone TTs, touchdowns today. It was just nuts. Held to 64 yards passing with, I would say Teamu is probably one of the better guys in the league, but when you don't have any, like I said, you don't have any protection and you don't have guys catching the ball or getting open, that's what ends up. Total turnovers, they had 3 for the Bandits and no turnovers for the Breakers. Like I said, it was almost a flawless game for the Breakers. I loved it. I had fun. But then again, I'm a guy. If you give me excitement, I'll stick around for the game. And they gave me excitement, even though it was a blowout. I was waiting for the next big play to come from the Breakers. That's how fun it was to watch them. And I picked them, so it was fun to sit there and watch them beat up on the other team because I knew I was getting the win there. So that was kind of fun. All in all, I had a fun time with the USFL this week. It started off dismal, terrible, but it finished on a real high note for me. We've got some stars in this league, some guys to talk about, some guys are emerging. Let's see where all of our TV ratings fall this week. I think that Fox and NBC numbers are going to be pretty big again this week. We'll see how the FS1, then the USA game does for ratings. All in all, great week. Looking forward to week number 3. As always, I want to know your thoughts. Let me know down in the comment section, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy, and I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.